hearing?
No, I can hear you live. Sorry about that, folks, but we are live in another episode of BWS Live. I'm your host, Charles Lewis, and with me is co-host Kerry Holligan. Kerry, how are you doing today?
I am well, Charles. What about yourself?
I am very good, actually. Let's try to get rid of some of that feedback. I'll turn off my put my other stuff on mute here. Okay, I'm fine, thank you very much. There's a lot going on, as you know. We are here in Barbados, and we are now in an extended lockdown period, which is creating quite a bit of feedback. Well, let's talk about some of this feedback coming from the Barbados Welcome Stampers. And of course, I would like you to give me your personal opinion. I'll give my opinion as well on some of the things. So let's get the ball rolling. First, I want to talk about the supermarkets are open between 8 and 4 p.m., but not on weekends. This is something that is creating quite a bit of feedback. What are your thoughts on this, Kerry?
Sometimes the challenge comes with what's affecting you personally, really best collectively. Well, personally, it does not, but naturally, it will affect others because everyone does not have a pool from which to pull from as needed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because the banking system is a little down on the post office, you've got people waiting on pension checks and so on. Sometimes a person may get their money late or gets cash late or whatever. So by the time you get a check cleared or money cleared, you know, we're on the weekend or it's already 3:30. So it will cause some challenges. But me personally, it's not caused any of.
Okay, some of the welcome stampers are complaining about the long lines at the supermarkets. And I personally think that if you're going to restrict the shopping in terms of the hours, I think you should consider opening longer hours. What's wrong with opening 24 hours if you're going to restrict them from going to shops in the community? We're now, in the very beginning, it was only supermarkets. I'm getting feedback. Are you hearing feedback as well? Kerry, are you getting feedback from me? Okay.
Just a little.
All right. Let me close my YouTube here because the stream is also live on YouTube, and I think this may be the problem. Okay. In the very beginning, the lockdown was restricted us from going to only to supermarkets. We were not allowed to go to mini marts or community shops. At that time, I thought they could have considered opening supermarkets for an extended period. Why not 24 hours? What's wrong with that? So that there's no bottleneck, there's no mad rush, and the lines are not so long. This is what I thought then. Now we are allowed to go to supermarkets and mini marts, but not the community shops. And I think that's going to create quite a bit of uproar from the community shops because are we going to compensate them for the loss of revenue?
I can tell you the truth, Charles. That's a hard one. You see, the challenge comes with the fact that we really don't know what resources. I do apologize. I live close to the road. We really don't know what resources the government has to work with. But I can tell you this: the idea to work 24 hours was one that was put on the table a long time ago, and I think we move forward in that direction where everything is concerned now. 24 hours is that it gives, well, the first thing would be that it gives more people employment, and it provides staggered employment. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes. Yeah, I agree. It will create
like
more
I was saying,
employment.
It provides employment, and it provides travel and safer ways for people to keep their distance and not compromise.
Yes. Also, welcome stampers are used to 24-hour shopping. In the UK, many of the supermarkets offer 24-hour shopping. So this is why they are upset about it. I've had many personal messages sent to me complaining about it, but what can we do? But so would you agree that longer shopping hours at the
But Barbados
supermarkets
is
and
really,
minimum?
sorry, Charles, Barbados is really stuck in the, Barbados is more or less stuck, and I think the lawmakers, I can get some links for this one, but I think a lot of the lawmakers and policymakers flog laws, and so often they try to avoid change that even if the system is not working and if it's counterproductive and even hurting the people, they refuse to move into a new kind of thinking. I don't want to sound cliche and sound like thinking outside the box, but that's exactly what it is. Post-COVID, society will never be the way it was. Who thought that we could have worked from home? So we need to change the way we think. We need to change the way we do business. We claim to be a modern country or developing nation. Those archaic ideas and old ways need to change for sure. And that
Okay.
is one of the ways I can see is going to be good for change. 24-hour work week.
Okay, let's move on to the beaches. This is another issue that Welcome Stampers have been complaining about. And, we are here to echo the opinions and views of Welcome Stampers. Also, we are individuals living in Barbados. We too have opinion, and we're welcome to voice our opinion. But let us keep it focused on what the Welcome Stampers are concerned about mainly. The beach now. Welcome Stampers have said to me, why are the beaches closed outside of 6 and 9 in the morning? Should they not open the beaches because this is what we have invested in coming to Barbados for, and perhaps put more security controls in place to ensure that people do not have picnics, parties, or do excessive recreational activities? Because if it's okay to go to the beach between 6 and 9, it should be okay to go between 12 or 3 in the afternoon, with proper measures put in place to control the activities on the beach. What are your thoughts on this?
We see how well security works in Barbados. That's all I'll say on that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
there's no way that that's going to be able to be policed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm still on the fence with that one, but it is interesting to note that the Welcome Stampers are very upset about it, and because they're claiming that this is the main reason they come here, and they should be some consideration for longer hours with measures put in place to ensure that people do not do anything excessive or excessively to give rise to further spread of the virus. But it's interesting comments have been coming in, and it's good that we come on the show and talk about these comments. What else? What other comments? What other comments have you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Saying, well, from what the authorities were saying, one of the things the authorities were saying was that if I'm not mistaken, and I could be quoting incorrectly, but as far as I was reading, was that fresh air, heat, shine, all of those things were good in terms of building up your immunity to prevent resistance against virus. Not stuck in a room with air conditioning, where the virus is. They're claiming that it lives longer in cool environments. And then you're stuck inside, you're being isolated with 6 or 7 people,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's one step forward and 2 back.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's important for the authorities to know what Welcome Stampers are saying, and this is why we're here. So, what are some of the other comments or complaints that you've heard of from Welcome Stampers or tourists in general?
Well, I can tell you the first one that I've seen Like you said, one of the concerns was, like they said, not being able to go to the beach, not being able to ads received to their hotel rooms readily. Obviously, that's going to be a concern. Actually, I thought that for me would have been pretty difficult, but everybody can't cook and everybody don't want to cook all the time. That was one of the other challenges that arose with the supermarkets being closed as well. Places like Massey and Sunset Crest that provided packed lunches. For me, I think that people that necessary, because like I said, people would be stuck with a one track diet of bread and milk and cheese. One of the um sorry, I can't say a lot. Some of the places that they were staying were charging them more like a percentage for the delivery on top of the delivery fee. Some of the hotels or villas or guest houses were charging them also for delivering, sometimes up to 45%. Now it seems to be a lot of
Yes.
price gouging going on too, as last lockdown as well. When they wanted to purchase an inhaler for a pharmacy, an
Yeah.
inhaler, a ventilator inhaler that usually costs $9, they had to pay $16 for. So there's a lot of pirating, a lot of price gouging, a lot of just people being generally greedy and unreasonable, and it is starting to have some impact. I think a lot of people are starting to question or second guess if they really should have come during this pandemic and apply for the welcome stamp, because unfortunately you may paint a picture of paradise, but you still have the citizens to live with.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm glad you said that because I too have received many private messages as the administrator of the Barbados Welcome Stamp group that people are contemplating leaving the island because they're not happy with the way things have turned out. The long wait for results, the long queues at the airport. But these things, to be honest, these things are expected. I think that, again, we're only here to echo what the Welcome Stampers are saying. And I think it's important for the authorities to know this. We are. Now, what are some of the people have asked me, is it okay to exercise in jog on the streets outside of 6 and 9 in the morning? Is it okay to jog in the park if they're just by themselves or with their partner? Heard anything? What is your opinion on this? Is that part of the restrictions? I don't know actually.
As far as I have been told or would have heard, the exercise period or the period to be on the street starts from 6 till 9. I think the curfew of itself is from 6 to 7. Outside of that, or what they call the curtilage of your home, I don't think it is. Which is interesting, Charles. I'm glad you said that, because you are allowed to go to the supermarket or the pharmacy. So if you're allowed out, I'm
Yeah.
thinking that you should be allowed within the confined boundaries of your home to do,
Mhm.
what you need to do.
Well,
It's not going past curfew time.
I have seen people jogging at 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, and jogging by themselves or with a partner, or walking briskly for exercise. So many of the welcome stampers probably saw other people walking and they wondered whether or not that is allowed or not allowed. I really don't know, to be honest. I would need to research that. But it's an interesting observation, because if you can go to the supermarket, you can jog to the supermarket. Okay, all right. What are some of the other
Actually, I did that in the
comments?
morning. I jogged straight to the bakery.
Well, then I guess those persons can claim they're jogging to the supermarket or the bakery. Okay. What are some of the other comments you have seen on the group about the restrictions?
I will, in terms of restrictions,
Well,
um,
any comment that is worthy
I
of
think
note now.
Well, there are a lot of people are also misunderstanding. While some people like myself do not like, I have very little tolerance for confinement. There are more or less a lot of people who understand what's happening and why it's happening. Don't forget, a lot of our visitors are from the UK and from the US. UK has gone into their second or third lockdown, I believe. Can't be good for either. And so, yes, like I said before, prior podcast, it's still better to be locked in paradise. It's a win-win because while your beach time may be limited, you can still go to the beach. We're not in dead of
Yeah.
winter where the snow is on the ground and it's bloody cold, and you still have some measure of freedom. That the brisk breeze blowing has been blowing for days. We've had some beautiful mornings. We're not in bad weather, so at the end of the day, we are in a pandemic. It's a good way to get around any challenge we've been having. I've seen a gentleman was having quite some challenges, said that he would be moving to Zimbabwe where they have no COVID protocols in place. Well, good for him. He didn't come from a place with no protocols, so I'm a little concerned as to why he was concerned. But again, that is the effect of being confined. It's against human nature, so who can blame him? Anyways, I wouldn't blame anyone for wanting to be locked down here. It's not that.
Yeah. Okay. Another complaint I've been hearing, or a query. Um, how difficult or easy is it for a welcome stamper to register their child in private or public school here? That has been sent to me in a private message on a regular basis. What is your take on this?
I have seen, excuse me, Sarah, address this on more than one occasion. And there were a few persons who have commented under the post that were lending some assistance. The
Yeah.
challenge is now was, there's no schools. The problem that with a small country, I guess with larger countries too, when there are crucial offices and business places closed or not responding to calls, it not only stops important things or the obvious things like gas stations, supermarkets, and so on. It also hampers other things that you have to deal with, school and work and all those other things. So one of the challenges that has been happening is no one has been able to really give them information as to what the protocol is to follow in terms of registering for school. It
Yeah.
could be a little easier because those persons are a little easier to reach. But when it comes to government ministries like the Ministry of Health and Education, it will be present some challenges because I'm not even sure if they have staff or if the staff will be working from home to answer any queries. And how government institutions work, sending an email is pretty damn near impossible because God knows when you get a response. So I'm thinking a private institution may be better unless there's someone who can comment in the section, someone directly and lead them in the right direction.
Another complaint that I've been hearing is that some of the welcome stampers whose kids are now registered with the school here, and also locals are having the same concern that a lot of students are not attending the classes online, and the parents are given the excuse that they had to take the kid to the supermarket or take the kid somewhere, and the attendance is not as good as it ought to be during this lockdown period. What are some of your views on this?
I hate homeschool.
I'm sorry?
Online school is the most counterproductive. Online school doesn't work. I'm sorry, it does not. And one of the reasons it doesn't work is because the classroom environment has
Yeah.
dynamics that naturally the online environment doesn't have.
Yeah.
One is physical contact. Children need to be in an intimate session with their peers and other people
Mhm.
do things and Teachers need to be in a physical setting in order to correct behaviors. You can't give little John a nudge for falling asleep or talking too loud. You can't give Sarah well done or a sticker on her book. And the
Yeah.
dynamics that are there in the classroom are not there online for these little 6-year-old kids. And I can tell you, my son have a hell of a time sitting and keeping quiet. I know, understand why they're doing it, but unfortunately, just with many other cases that sometimes it is to be on the ground when making policies and when making decisions, because you get a better feedback as if the aid is workable or not. Now, the children have to have order, they need to have structure, because they just can't be aimless running around with nothing to do. So it's kind of a caught between a rock and a hard place. What is not working well? What is the option? This is one of the challenges that we are at right now in the pandemic.
Mm. I have a message from Sarah who is asking how to make a comment, but at the bottom of the Facebook group, you should have a section to make a comment, and that comment will show up in our window, and we will then make a commentary on the comment. Alternatively, you can join us in the room as well. I can give you the address to join us. So I hope this is helpful. I want to talk a bit about the mental and psychological impact that this is having on Welcome Stampers, as well as Bajans being locked down for such a long period of time, because I've not heard a lot said about this. You had some discussion on the group about that, and maybe you would want to discuss this a bit. Let me just send the link to Sarah in the event that she would like to in the discussion with any comments. Just 1 second. Okay, I just sent that link for Sarah's attention. But alternatively, Sarah, you can also message us at the bottom of the group. There's in the comment section, and it will show up on our side as well. Yeah, let's talk a bit about the psychological and mental impact that this is causing on individuals who are here on the Welcome Stamp, as well as locals, because it will impact on us on both sectors the same way. What are some of your thoughts there, Kerry?
I could write a book on the mental impact it has had on myself and what I've seen in my family and in my close friends. I'm so glad you brought up that topic, because I don't think enough people are talking about it. I'm going to stick a pin there. One of the challenges that I've been seeing, and sometimes I've had to distance myself with social media for it, is a lot of the comments that are being made concerning shutting down the country and the delay in doing so, and the effects of so, according to some people who have been following the news. And one of the things is social media allows you to be very opinionated. And it gives a lot of liberty for anyone to speak, regardless of the consequences it has on them personally or society as a whole. It has been anguish, Charles. I tell you, no, has been is such a trying experience. It is. I often liken it to being in solitary confinement in prison. Because it's so confining. You're confined to one area. Everything is limited. Now, bear in mind, before pre-COVID, I never used to go anywhere. But now that I can't go anywhere, I want to go somewhere. That's usually how it is, isn't it? Everyone does not have a lawn to go on. Everyone does not have a big backyard. Everyone does not have just a family of 2 or 3 normal-minded individuals sharing a space with. And this is the challenge. It is okay for a person in the best of to want lockdown imposed because they see certain challenges, and I can agree that there are a lot of things that come with the lockdown that are difficult. But on the flip side of that, you have a whole generation and also people or healthy-minded people, some who are having COVID but are asymptomatic, who are more or less told to just sit and do nothing indefinitely. The human body and mind is not going to grapple with that well, And if you're already in a house where you got 10 or 11 people, what you're saying?
Yeah, if I may interject for a minute, do you think that the government should pay more attention to the psychological and emotional impact and develop some type of program to address this with Welcome Stampers as well as locals? Because I haven't heard of any initiatives to deal with this, because obviously they're so busy with the core problem of COVID-19. What are your thoughts on this? And afterwards, we're going to address Sarah's comments. Sarah left a comment in the chat room, and we're going to address that after. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the government intervention in terms of psychological and emotional impact on individuals?
We all know the answer to that. Like, you already answered the question. The physical impact is so busy being monitored. The challenge that comes with anything associated with biological illness, it doesn't have a priority. The priority is when some person more or less manifests that mental challenge. Then you will see systems come into place to address that. But that there's no prevention. There's only a lot of cure. And we can argue about why that is all day, but we know at the end of the day, government is not going to put a lot of emphasis on that. And even if they do, it will just be a showpiece. And it probably would not have a lot of follow through. Just like all the things, they probably wouldn't be able to find who's on the hotline. The hotline will be busy. The person, and resources are going to get overwhelmed again. The challenge in Barbados, like our Prime Minister has said, we don't have enough personnel. There's not a lot of personnel to get anything done, and there's even less funds to get anything done. This whole pandemic in the first place was put in place, the personnel left a lot to be desired. So there's not going to be a lot of emphasis on mental health. Actually, later on down the road, we're going to see a lot of mental health challenges. Is going to impact our workforce seriously. We're going to have people who are physically well, mentally are unwilling to work.
Well, there's life after COVID-19.
That's my opinion.
There is life after COVID-19. Thanks for your opinion, and I agree with much of what you've said. But after COVID-19, I'm not even sure if we can even say that. I'm not sure if this is ever going to go away. But at some point in time, we've got to kickstart our economy, and we have to kickstart the workforce. And if the people are not mentally and psychologically well, then it's going to be even harder to kickstart, because people are going to go back to work and business with an impaired mindset because of the medical and the emotional and psychological impact. So I totally agree with you. Let us address Sarah's comment. Sarah said that with regards to schooling, it is better to be doing something online than nothing at all. It's harder because we lack proper infrastructure. Oh, well, Sarah's planning to join us right now, so let Sarah echo her own. Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
Good morning, Sarah.
Hi, Kerry.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm okay. I'm not really set up for this right at this moment, but I just wanted to pop in, if you don't mind. There's a couple of things that I originally heard and listened to that I just wanted to make some comments on. Bear with me just a minute.
Sure.
I just wanted to make a couple of comments on. Yeah, I just
some feedback from you, Sarah.
Yeah, that was on the other.
Yeah,
that was on my computer.
Audio. Yeah. There you go.
Right. There we are.
Go ahead.
So, the first thing was regarding the people who are here on the welcome stamp and their ability, there are some people that are talking about picking up and leaving, which it would be very sad if they did that. Right now, the pandemic really has touched everywhere. So I know one person made a comment on a page earlier today and says, "Oh, I'm gonna pick up and go to Zanzibar." Okay, that's good, but he's running from somewhere. He's not staying in his home country. He doesn't like what's happening there, so he's come to Barbados, and now he's talking about going to somewhere else. But eventually, the probability is that that place will also be touched. We are not alone in what we're doing. This is happening everywhere. The only place any freedoms haven't technically been taken away, if that's what you want to call them, is possibly the U.S. And there are other places as well, but you know, it's one of those things. I think our government is actually making the best of what's considered a bad situation for everybody. This isn't what we're doing in Barbados isn't specific as far as they're not doing this against the people that are visiting here. What the government is doing is to try to help us all. I don't like the way the system is with the supermarkets. I don't like the fact that, you know, some have been closed. I absolutely don't think that they should have closed on the weekends. I have a solution, which somebody should have come up with regarding that. They have enough employees. I remember in a press conference that Mia said that we're doing that to give the workers in the supermarkets time to rest. These supermarkets have a lot of people working for them. And they're not, why not, the HR managers in these supermarkets should be able to schedule people. Are they scheduling people? Are they laying people off? Do they have workers? And why not have them spread out, you know, over 7 days rather than 5 days?
I totally
I'm
agree.
sure they know I'm sure they all know how to do that. This is not, this is a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, too, in the United States and in the United Kingdom, stores open sometimes 24 hours. We could consider that as well. Why not? And avoid the long rush, the long lines, and the massive rush during the day.
Funny enough, you say that, Charles. There's the directive. It is the works. I don't know the proper wording, but it has to do with one. It has to do with people working. One, it has to do with businesses being open 24 hours. Barbados has never been a 24-hour country as long as I've lived here. We've only just become an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. country. There are now only 2 days out of the entire year it's the Shops Act. There's only 2 days out of the entire year that companies can't be open, if I understand it correctly. That's Christmas and Easter. I think it's Good Friday that the law allows stores to absolutely be closed. But if somebody wants to open on any other public holiday, they absolutely can. They just have to follow the Shops Act. That came out a couple of years ago. One of the things that Kerry you were touching on was mental health, and I know in a recent press conference there was a comment made. There was actually a mental health professional who was actually on the broadcast, who was saying they're open, their offices are open. If somebody needs a psychologist, psychiatrist, or someone just to talk to, they're open. The biggest issue, as you can appreciate in Barbados, people don't like to talk about those things, among other things.
That's right.
So talking about it with your family is one thing. Talking about it from
Sarah. I have a question for you, Sarah. Kerry's back with us again. Welcome back, Kerry. I'm going to make a comment, and I want your opinion on it. Is it against our legislation for stores to open 24 hours? I'm not sure. Or is it just a common practice not to open 24 hours?
I don't
actually think
legislation at all, because when around Christmas time you hear policymakers more or less asking shop owners and large department stores to open for the sake of the cruise lines. So I don't think that it's against any kind of law or legislation. I think what is against any legislation or any law, if there's anything illegal about it, would be forcing workers to work over 40 hours a week. Um, that is the only thing I know about. Sarah could clear up any, can make any clarification for me.
I think
Okay, Sarah, let me hear your thoughts.
I believe that there was a change in the legislation. I'm looking at the information online, and it's possible that it was changed. I'm not an expert. I just hear and know these things because I've often wondered myself why certain businesses are not allowed to be open. It does have to do with a 40-hour work week. It has to do with working overtime. What is considered overtime, who's considered to be paid overtime. If you're a salaried worker, do you get overtime if you're there from midnight to 8 a.m.? Something was changed in the last couple of years. My biggest concern has always been, why are you stocking the shelves between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. when I'm shopping? And why aren't your people there from midnight to 5 a.m. to stock the shelves so that there's not things? I went to Cost You Less a couple of months ago, and I was utterly appalled. Everything, they said they'd been there since midnight, and I don't doubt it, but there was no place to move. There were pallets in the middle of the rows, everything. It was probably the worst shopping experience I'd had there. I don't know what the law actually says about 24 hours, but I know they've changed something recently.
Go further than that, Sarah.
Well, certainly, go ahead.
Protecting refuse at those times in the mornings. I think that was another thing that was changed. Why are you driving on the road getting to work and there's a big garbage truck in front of your car? You know, why is that? Why are you forcing everybody into this 9 to 5 box? And there are 22 hours in a day. You can spread it out a little.
Okay, a lot of these issues we are talking about, even though they're mainly in the mainstream with locals, it also impacts on Welcome Stampers. It's not a problem for us to discuss any issue because it will impact on Welcome Stampers who are here in Barbados at the moment. So, Sarah, I want to talk about your comment about schools, about the infrastructure. What is your thought there?
Well, we've never before on this island, but online schooling takes place worldwide in many forms. There are just people who do it differently. There are universities who've been solely and wholly online ever since their inception. The problem, couple of things. The problem in Barbados right now is we don't have enough tablets. We don't have enough laptops or computers. Our teachers are not properly trained, although they're learning, to do this online. Our system isn't set up for this. And more specifically, the unfortunate part is that we have many people who are simply not set up to have a child on a computer, a TV going, a radio going, when you're living in 2 rooms. And that's just the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing I'll have to add is that
any comment from you, Kerry, about that?
Oh, I agree with Sarah completely. That's the dynamic we're working with. Everyone doesn't have a 4 or 5 bedroom upper middle class home to work from. Just like how I'm here sitting, I have to contend with the noise and the dust of the roadworks because I live right on the West Coast. I have to contend with some yard fowls running around. The dynamic is completely different. So I agree with Sarah 100%.
I can say this because because it affected my son. But the same thing with for example, the Caribbean Examination Council exams last summer, that have still not been rectified as far as a whole group of us are concerned. You abruptly in school at the end of March and you shut down, and you still expect students to do an exam and use those exams, because this is what they're supposed to do, to go on to universities. For a 17, 18-year-old, that's hard enough, but you can't. I have teachers who here in Barbados and in the US who will state emphatically, why are 4-year-olds being taught online? Why are 5-year-olds being taught online? Well, okay, there are some teachers who are doing quite well at what they're doing. And they're trying to keep these kids engaged, and you cannot expect a parent who is also trying to work online to be able to teach the child. You can't, but you also can't expect them to lose a year and to lose the education and to lose, the time that they should be learning.
Correct.
I can tell you, I'm not a teacher, and I didn't do well at doing homework with my children at all, ever. But I can't expect somebody to be doing school every single day for the last 6 months in this kind of environment.
So do you think they should start that year altogether? So
I wanted to
forego the CXC results for that year?
Say that again, sorry.
Do you think that they should forego the CXC results for that year and do over?
I think we shouldn't require. I think that I have a whole lot of feeling on this subject, but I don't think that. I think we've found ourselves in a serious situation when we are our system is, and the Caribbean is completely reliant on one organization to do one exam, and it be the be all end all to a child's education. That's in the simplest terms. There's much more involved in that. But when I say to somebody, send your have your school, the child's secondary school, send the transcripts to the university, and somebody says, but they won't take them without the Caribbean Examination Council results. We're stuck. We're completely stuck. I know students who've been told, well, we don't know, we haven't had the results from your CAPE exams, and therefore we don't know if you've actually done the subject or the coursework. And I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. Why can't the school verify that you've done the coursework? Of course they can. They're the ones that made you do the coursework. The only thing that didn't happen was you didn't get the results of the exam, or you didn't get the results that you should have gotten, because again, that's another subject, and I don't really need to get into that on this point. But I think it takes a lot of
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just give a bit of station identification here. You're tuned into Barbados Welcome Stamp Live, BWS Live, and we're talking Kerry on issues pertaining to the lockdown and other social issues, political issues that impact on welcome rater of the group. You have heard complaints as well from what are some of the complaints that we have not yet mentioned that you have heard all as yourself?
About the lockdown altogether, or just about the pandemic?
The lockdown, the pandemic, anything pertaining to the Barbados Welcome Stamp. What are some of the complaints that we've not
let me tell you
mentioned on this episode?
That has been dominating social media for the last year or so was the delay in locking down the country. I'm seeing so much, I don't even know what to call it, so much conflict concerning what they consider to be a detrimental decision that caused lives of people. I've seen people ask about if there would be any litigation involved, taking the government to court for lives lost. I've seen so much things um, written on social media
Okay,
concerning
interesting.
why lockdown was not done the time it should be done, and it was done too late, and the COVID was let into the country, and this is the government's fault. That is the one thing that has been dominating social media for eons.
Mhm. Okay, let's allow Sarah to weigh in on this. Sarah, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I'm perplexed because I'm not sure. I mean, I know people who will say to me, why haven't we, specifically for Barbados, why didn't we close our borders? Or better still, why did we actually open them when we did? Well, we opened them when we did because we thought we were fine. We had visitors who wanted to come and Bajans who wanted to come home. And they were allowed to do that. Maybe we were fed Kool-Aid. You understand that comment. Maybe there were things that we didn't know before December when all heck broke loose. But I don't think anybody can blame. I don't think anybody, first of all, has any right to sue the government for any of this, for wrongful death. Our government didn't create this issue at the initial onset. It's okay. That's one. We didn't. People say, well, you need to you should have closed the borders. We couldn't, for one. I don't think we did a great job at how we handled the first set and groups of people that came in, but that was new. We didn't know what we were doing. Many people didn't know what they were doing. There are other things. I haven't for Barbados specifically. I've seen maybe other places, but I do have older friends who've said, shut the borders every chance they got. Shut the borders. Don't let them in. Had we shut our borders and not let them in July, up to now, we would be so far worse off than we are right this minute. That's my feeling.
Okay. I think it is extremely difficult for any government to know what, and they will all make mistakes. And it should be expected that they will make mistakes. What I do not appreciate is, not speaking about our government in particular, not willing to listen to the people and not willing to admit when they have made a mistake, make changes when they've realized that they've made a mistake. It's absolutely human to make mistakes, particularly in very difficult circumstances like a pandemic such as COVID-19. So, and they will continue to make mistakes as well. Just be prepared to acknowledge it and not be so hard on people who have opinion, whether they're not in favor of your opinion. I mean, people should be allowed to disagree. And this is my opinion on this. And in terms of the economy, wow, that's a big call. I challenge any political leader to tell me or us that they know what the hell they're doing totally. At this time.
Yeah, no.
And what are your comments?
No, I don't think. I think there's suggestions that need to be made, and I think that they do need to listen. And I know that Bajans, some Bajans keep quiet, and some will say for fear of retribution. I am actually not one of them, obviously. But I think if you're going to make a statement, you also need to come with a solution, or at least begin the process of talking about a solution.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Okay, fantastic. Well, we're almost out of time. It's an hour now. I wanted to. I made a decision that I want to come on the air more often as we get comments on the Facebook group. I want to come on and have a chat, even if it's just a 10-minute discussion, so that we're not left to a schedule every week or every 2 weeks. So I'm glad that we've done this, and it has been quite interesting. Sarah, I want to thank you very much for joining us. We've lost Kerry, but I will contact. Here she is.
We need to
Let's say hello and goodbye to Kerry. Okay, let's wait comes back in to say goodbye officially. Okay, while that warm heats up. I'm very pleased with the engagement on the group. The group is extremely active. As you all know, we're 2,500 people now, which is quite impressive for being online for a short period of time. And it only continue to grow from strength to strength. Okay, I'm not sure if Kerry closing the show now because it's been an hour. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. And again, Sarah, thanks for joining us. You're obviously,
no problem.
I like when you join the discussion. I like your strong opinions. Very welcome. Okay, Kerry, I don't know if you can hear, but we're saying goodbye.
Charles.
Thank you for joining us. I certainly do. I can take my licks if I need to, and I can give them as well. Okay, you take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.
We're back on there in a few days. Okay, bye for now.